What's good, YouTube? We back with another reaction. Today we are reacting to 4 experts unravel the LeBron versus Jordan mystery, the ultimate Jordan versus LeBron debate. Let's hear what they talking about, because if somebody talking some bull, then I'm gonna say they talking that bull. But if somebody talking that talk, if somebody talking that good talk, I'm gonna say they talking that good talk. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it.
I don't give the same grace to his career that y'all have given to other players.
If he wanted continuity in coaching, he just should have stayed in Miami. Well, but he kept moving around, so he's the one who doesn't want continuity. That's crazy.
And this is my thing. This is where they're not. You're being so disingenuous.
Phil Jackson fired?
You're being so disingenuous.
You wanted Phil Jackson fired?
To Jerry Krause's credit, he's one of the greatest GMs to ever do it. Yes. He put together a phenomenal. He is. He's not.
You get nearly as much credit.
Low on that bullshit.
Defensive player of the year. You know how many times he made the All-League defensive team before that? 0. You know how many times he made the All-League defensive team after that? 0.
I just feel like when it comes to Michael Jordan, we don't talk about his hardships enough.
Right.
We just don't. Like, we act like his career started in the 90s.
Right now.
Let's talk about the hardships.
We're talking about right now.
If we start bringing up Jordan's hardships and LeBron's hardships, it's going to go back.
But y'all do that.
Right. There's no rhyme or reason why somebody like J.J. Barea and Jason Kidd should be able to defend him.
I can rewind the clock back to before Jordan became Air Jordan. When he had hair and they called him Air Jordan. When he was averaging 35 a game against the Detroit Pistons, he wasn't blamed for that series, however. Even though if LeBron James had done something like that, LeBron James, they would have said that he choked.
Draymond Green.
That's false. That's already false, because when LeBron lost to the Warriors in 2015, nobody blamed LeBron for that. Not a single person blamed LeBron for that. Most people don't even blame LeBron for the Heat's second loss in the finals to the Spurs. Nobody blames him for that, really. Nobody blames him for 2007. Nobody blames him for 2015. Nobody blames him for 2014. Nobody blames him for 2018. Nobody blames him for 2017. The only time he really got blamed was 2011. That's the only time. That is universal.
Goes out publicly and says they mentally had us. If KD doesn't show up to save us, we might be talking about LeBron in a different light.
No. Was Phil Jackson the best coach when Michael Jordan started winning? No. Okay then. So
with that being said, that unit being built around him, I've never seen a guy come into the game with that amount of hype, that amount of fanfare, that amount of pressure, and deliver and continuously deliver without folding and just completely giving up. I've never seen that, and it took me a long time to come to this conclusion. But he's the best that I've ever seen.
Why OG sound like that? Like he didn't really want to say it, but it had to be said.
Folding and just completely giving up. I've never seen that, and it took me a long time to come to this conclusion. But he's the best that I've ever seen.
Every fan is an expert.
All right, ready? Okay. The GOAT debate. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James.
So first and foremost, Jordan is obviously the GOAT. I don't even know.
Time out. Before niggas start talking, can we see somebody shoot the basketball before we start talking basketball? Is that unfair to ask? Like, let me see you shoot a free throw. Let me see you go tween, hezzy, splash before you start talking about basketball. Is that unfair? Can we see you dribble? Can we see you do something basketball-wise before you start talking basketball? Like, that's just me. When Dr. J and them niggas, bro, when they start talk shit about LeBron, like, oh, I don't even think LeBron top 10. Like, I personally think that niggas are hating. Like, that's just my opinion. But Dr. J did hoop. So, you know, you have to take that with a grain of salt.
I know why we're here at all. Jordan's a GOAT because, I mean, we're talking about somebody who is, top 5 in, multiple categories, especially at his position. Finished in his career, top 3 in steals. Finished top 5 in points, even though he is moving down. But, top 5 in multiple positions. So, in statistical categories.
Thank God for Scottie Pippen, right?
For somebody who only played a handful of seasons, majority of which was accomplished as a Bull. So we're essentially talking about like a 10 to 13 year career. So from a statistical standpoint, also even from a career average standpoint, basically averaging 35 and 5, extremely efficient for an era that was predominantly dominated by big men. Extremely athletic, extremely skilled, one of the best passers at his position at that era of basketball, who was able to take advantage of mismatches way better than anybody else. Defensively, one of the best defensive guards at his position the league has ever seen, two-way impact, and was able to translate a lot of that production over into the postseason. Let's not even talk about the post-game, mid-range shooting, athleticism, finishing at the basket. A competent, that was a quick minute.
It was a quick minute, but I got a quick minute for you. So when you talk about revolutionizing the game, so before it was Doc and it was Jordan, and then James shows up and he revolutionized the game. We got the 6'9" guy, bigger, faster, stronger, does everything just as good, if not better than guards. He can switch, he can play multiple positions. I've never seen a guy in the history of the game, as long as I've been watching the game, come into the game with that amount of fanfare, with that amount of hype, with that amount of pressure, and actually deliver. And I've also never seen a guy who failed like he did and came back better. And stayed on top for as long as he did. We're talking about a guy who averaged more than 25 a game for over 18 straight years. These how many guys in the history of the game can say that they've done that? Nobody else can say that they've done that. He's at the top of the league, in the history of the league, in playoff points, which means when he was at his best, it was in the postseason. He's also failed, but he's also been at his best in the postseason. He's done it for a long time. He's done it for longer than most, which is why it makes him awesome.
The reason you haven't seen anyone come back from failure like LeBron James, because MJ didn't go through the failures that LeBron James did. MJ, from the moment he got into the league, the moment he was in the playoffs, was always producing at a high level. You never saw a playoff series where the Bulls lost and he was like, you know what, MJ, you're the reason your team didn't get this done. LeBron James, you can say that's true for multiple series. You look at the 2011 finals, for example, one of the worst series from a superstar in NBA history. But we don't need to get into that. Let's talk about the fact that Michael Jordan is the best scorer in NBA history, from a production standpoint, from an eye test standpoint, one of the best mid-range shooters of all time, one of the best finishers at the rim of all time.
Imagine LeBron's stats if he would have had Scottie Pippen.
Arguably the best athlete of all time as well. He was doing that while also being one of the best defenders in the league, especially at his position, leading the league in steals, winning a defensive player of the year, and he's doing this in a 13-year stretch where LeBron James is pushing into year 21 and he still hasn't achieved a fraction of what Michael Jordan has. I don't need a whole minute to J-Roll. There you go.
I just really love how you repeated what Lo said, just in a different way. My Glorious King is definitely the GOAT.
Hey, cut it out. Cut it. Hey, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Chill.
Just because the expectations.
Yeah, I'm done.
He'll leave his chick for LeBron. Because my Glorious King is crazy.
Just because the expectations that were put on him as an 18-year-old, I think everything he's accomplished in this league,
He just repeating what this nigga said, you eater. You're really a munch. You fucking munch.
Stop interrupting me. My minute is here. I think LeBron James is done. He has the greatest ring in NBA history. He's completed hella side quests in the NBA, such as leading the league
Side quest?
in assists. He's led in scoring. He's been all defense. He's won multiple MVPs. He's also the crown messenger. I know everybody gives credit to Jordan for winning with the Bulls, but to win a championship in 3 different locations is also an accomplishment in itself.
Facts. That's facts.
I also feel like it took Jordan about 7 years to get to what LeBron did in 3. And, you know, he may have lost in that finals against.
Nah, you chatting. You bullshitting. You fucking bullshitting. Bro, shut the fuck up. Because you get me fucking mad. Shut the fuck up. You're not making no fucking sense.
Hall of Famers at a young age, but to be able to do that at 23 years old, that's a big deal. This man has answered every single expectation. I think even now at 40 years old.
You said it took how long? You said it took how long? No, you said how long it took LeBron?
3. He got drafted in
It
03.
took him
got
3
drafted in
He
03.
was in year 4.
3 years.
He was in year 4.
So you don't know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
4.
All right.
03 to
So we
04.
established you just
And they didn't achieve
1
the
year.
same
The
thing.
difference of
They
1
didn't
year.
achieve the
They
same
did
thing.
1 year.
They didn't achieve
We're
the
going
same
to go from the
thing.
difference of 1
They
year.
didn't
Mike actually won, whereas you're just saying they did the
I
same
got
thing in
one
terms of
for
making the
rings, bro.
finals.
Yeah.
You understand
That's
that?
not
You
the same thing.
understand
It's not the same
a
thing.
team that had the best record in the regular season ever in the NBA had to go out their way to get Kevin Durant in order to beat one LeBron James. Even it got to a point where this team that was the greatest regular season team ever, one of the star players on that team, Draymond Green, goes out publicly and says, they mentally had us. If KD doesn't show up to save us, we might be talking about LeBron in a different light. I also think
That's facts. That's facts.
when it comes to LeBron James, y'all don't give the same grace to his career that y'all given to other players. Like the way y'all say that, you know,
We're
Michael
not
Jordan,
talking about other players. You're talking about MJ.
MJ as well. He's one of those players.
No.
You mentioned that too, Miles, because we talk about improvement. I mean, this guy has improved every year. And when I say improved, I mean improved in every aspect of his game. He improved as a shooter. He improved as a ball handler. He improved as a defender. He improved his IQ. And all of those things, even at a young age, were far more advanced than even guys that came out of college that played for big-time college basketball coaches. And a guy that 22 years old taking the team to the NBA Finals, I mean, that hasn't happened since never with that Cleveland Cavaliers.
Does that make him greater than Michael Jordan though? Let's stay on topic. Like we can go back and forth and talk about how great they are, but does that make him greater? Right? If Michael Jordan was playing in the weaker conference for his era, I'm sure he would have made a finals earlier. Right? Because the only reason Michael Jordan was winning every time he got to the finals is because whoever you played in the West was fucking weaker. That's why Magic made 9 finals. 9? He was cakewalking through that motherfucker. Who did he play? Hakeem? Okay, Hakeem's an all-time great, top 10. Aside of Hakeem, who did he play? In the West, who? Clyde Drexler? Like, okay, that's not competing with the bad boy Pistons, Larry Bird. That's not competing with Moses Malone and Dr. J in the 80s. We're not talking that talk. Come on now. We're not comparing who's better. LeBron made the finals in year 3 because the fucking East was so weak. Michael Jordan struggled through the East, but once he got there, he won.
And nobody had done that in Cleveland since he had done that. So the expectation at that point is now championship or bust as long as he's here. And once he got
And another thing, does having more pressure, does that add to your greatness? I mean, I guess it could. But like if you came into the league with a lot of pressure, does that make you... I don't know if that's really fair to really say, like, I don't know.
Which would explain why he left. Which would explain
When
why
the going gets tough.
Chill out over there.
It wouldn't be the going gets tough. It would be more that I think that the team that was built around him was not nearly as sufficient as the team that was built around Michael Jordan. I think that the team that was built around him, I think that they looked at him and said, we're getting to the NBA championship every year with this guy.
How long did
regardless
it
of
take
what
the
we
Bulls
go
to build that around Michael Jordan?
It took them 7-8 years.
Okay, 8 years, and LeBron left Cleveland after how many years?
He left after 7 years.
And what did LeBron do in year 8 then?
And year 8, what happened?
Well, that's
the biggest meltdown in NBA history.
That's completely different. And the reason why that's completely different is because...
Completely different. I don't know this completely.
Well, the reason why it's completely different is because, like you just said with Michael Jordan, it took him 8 years with continuity with the same guys. So he's on the same crew with John Paxson. He's on the same crew with Scottie Pippen. He's on the same crew with Horace Grant. He's on the same crew with Cliff Livingston. He's on the same crew with B.J. Armstrong. Meanwhile, LeBron James goes to Miami, and this is a totally new system. This is a totally new gig, and this is a testament to his greatness because you expect once he jumps onto that crew that it's just supposed to work out, not even establishing roles.
Yeah, with him picking the team and the coach and the players.
And you don't get continuity arguments when LeBron's the one who...
Yeah, that's not fair, bro. You're giving him praise for... Like, bro, let's not act like it wouldn't have been easier for Michael Jordan to be like, you know what, I'm going to play with this nigga Hakeem, bro. Like, oh, the continuity, like, sure, that's important. But continuity with players that are average are not better than no continuity than players that are great. Give me the no continuity with great, all-time great players. Give me the lack of continuity with those players than average players. You're talking about John Paxson. Like, come on, let's be serious.
He actually left the team. He's the reason there wasn't continuity.
If he wanted continuity,
I can't say LeBron didn't have continuity when he's the reason there wasn't continuity. I'm not giving him that belt. That doesn't make sense.
If he wanted continuity in coaching, he just should have stayed in Miami. Well, but he kept moving around, so he's the one who doesn't want continuity. That's crazy.
Well, first of all, he does because if you look at continuity, like you just said in Miami, he didn't get to pick the coach. Eric Spoelstra was already there. In fact, Eric Spoelstra, he wanted him fired. So that's not.
And Pat Riley wasn't going for
That's a great player. That's a great.
So that further proves that he didn't want continuity, does it not?
Yeah, great goat right there.
Pat Riley?
No. LeBron trying to get somebody fired.
Yeah,
He's a great goat, man. Great goat, man.
Does nobody act like Michael Jordan couldn't make a demand?
Absolutely.
This is my thing. This is where they're not. You're being so
wanted Phil Jackson
disingenuous.
fired?
You're being so disingenuous.
You wanted Phil Jackson fired?
Phil Jackson. But if he wanted his GM going. And as much as he wanted his GM going, to Jerry Krause's credit, he's one of the greatest GMs to ever do it.
Yes.
You put together a phenomenal. He is. He's not.
Didn't get nearly as much credit.
What you gotta say?
Like, let's be real. Let's also take into consideration that I think ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, Michael Jordan had Phil Jackson.
Yep.
He played with a great coach in college. I think there was a lot of things around Michael Jordan that LeBron James did not have. He had to just ultimately.
He
adjust
chose not to have.
I ain't gonna lie, LeBron do get to play NBA franchise
To
mode.
Jerry Krause's credit, he's one of the greatest GMs to ever do it.
And
he makes people revolve around him.
These are all his choices.
Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA,
and he chose not to stay there.
The lack of
Pat
continuity.
Riley
Was Eric Spoelstra at the time that LeBron left? When LeBron
declining.
left Miami, was Eric Spoelstra when he left? No, I think he's the best coach in basketball now.
Okay.
I 100% agree with
He was
that.
a-
You think at the time he was the best coach
He
in
was
basketball?
at worst third. He was at worst third.
We'll give you
With a top three.
Was Phil Jackson the best coach when Michael Jordan started winning? No. Okay then. So that argument is also
It's not
pointless.
But would that be? But
That argument is irrelevant.
It's relevant for both of us then.
No,
you're the one
because
who brought it
he-
up.
he-
You said he had Phil Jackson.
Jackson is a legendary coach though.
Because
So
of what
was
he
Pat
did
Riley.
with
Well,
Why was
NBA
Phil
and
Jackson?
then
Why was Phil
WNBA.
Jackson a legendary coach? Because he put a system around called
Was
the
he a legendary?
triangle. That Eric Spoelstra has.
But was he a legendary? Was he a legendary coach in '91? Was he a legendary coach in
It doesn't
'91?
matter who system. That's what he put the system
So how
around.
many rings did Michael Jordan win with a legendary coach?
ultimately,
So you think yeah, ultimately it's
Right.
6. But he wasn't legendary in '91 by chosen mission.
Okay, I agree.
So how many? When did Phil Jackson become legendary?
I think after the three-peat.
yes.
After
just
the
three?
three-peat, you kind of call him legendary.
So just 3.
What do you mean?
Because after the 3P, you only won 3. So with
So
Phil
half his
Jackson,
rings were without a legendary coach.
Yes.
half of his rings.
Half of Mike's rings.
Okay, I guess.
Alright, cool.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
so.
I did think it, but okay.
That's fair. But I think we're missing the point of how that unit was built from everybody down. Remember, when Michael Jordan showed up there, the only guy that was on that unit that Jerry Krause.
I think we're missing the point. I think we're missing the entire point. Is like we can argue semantics about little details about what this player didn't have and what this player did have, and small details and nuances about, you know, whose path might have been more difficult. Like, you know, LeBron didn't have the coach, and, you know, Jordan had to play the Pistons, and, you know, fouling hard, and, you know, switching teams. You know, like, we can argue about that, but realistically, it's just like, what makes the GOAT to you? Why is Michael Jordan the GOAT to you? What makes him the GOAT to you? Like, don't just tell me why he's greater than LeBron. That's all you need to tell me.
Not have, he did not pick, was Jordan. Jerry Krause, Scottie Pippen, that's his guy. Horace Grant, that's his guy. John Paxson, who nobody wanted, that's his guy. Cliff Livingston, B.J. Armstrong, Bill Cartwright, trading for Bill Cartwright, which Jordan did not want. In fact, he really flipped out on Jerry Krause about that, which we actually roast guys today when guys get traded. Jordan did not want Bill Cartwright. He wanted Charles Oakley on that unit. And in fact, it actually worked. So with that being said, that unit being built around him, and then on top of that, the next time when he came back, and I'm going to get to the next point, the next time when he came back,
Why are you blazing these two so heavy over there, bro?
She was carrying.
My bad. Go ahead, Chill.
As I was saying, Mars.
Get a LeBron at this right now.
So as I was saying, when he came back to Chicago, him and Scottie Pippen, they're the only two dudes on the first championship team that was on the second championship team, and they win the NBA championship 3 straight years, not just on the strength of Jordan. That team was fantastic. And you mentioned him leaving Cleveland. There's a reason why he left Cleveland. He left Cleveland because it wasn't the way it was in Chicago. They weren't building that unit around him. I don't think he ever wanted to leave, which would explain why he went back to Cleveland.
Once he knew he could get a superstar point guard in Kyrie.
I don't think it was a superstar point guard because remember.
Yes, it was. It was part. LeBron would have not gone back to Cleveland if he did not think that team could have won a championship. Yo, Caleb, pull up to Cleveland. There's this fucking nasty-ass fucking point guard out of Duke who I think we can, you know, me, you, and him, I think we can make something happen. If Kyrie wasn't there, bro, let's be fucking serious. LeBron is not a fucking stupid guy. LeBron will never play somewhere, he will never go somewhere, in my opinion, that he believes he can't win a championship. So Kyrie being there, if Caleb wouldn't have gone, I don't think he would have gone. But yeah, let's be serious. Let's not act like he was gonna go back there even if they were a shit team. He wasn't doing that.
Love and Kyrie Irving, when James got them, these how many playoff appearances they had. They weren't doing anything. They were just a bunch of guys who put up a lot of good numbers on a bad team.
By your admission, the Cavs weren't a great team, so they weren't building around Kyrie correctly as well, right?
They weren't building around.
So then why just expect to make playoffs?
Well, the reason why they expected to make the playoffs because he did have a good player, a good young player that he saw on his team, in Kyrie Irving, a good young player.
No, Kyrie weren't going to make the playoffs because that's a trash organization in Cleveland, right?
But, well,
same with the Timberwolves. Another trash organization.
And the reason why him coming back is he feels like he's going to have more input, and with him having more input and a good.
What am I seeing right now?
Irving, and them drafting Tristan Thompson. Maybe they are putting this.
Oh, they're hiring.
This thing is a little bit different than what it was when the first time I was here. When they're passing up guys and they're passing up Amari Stoudemire and keeping J.J. Hickson. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing while I'm here, and they just expect me to beat Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Rondo and Paul Pierce with Ben Wallace and not Dylan and Dover. I'm sorry. Guys like that. They expect us they expect us to win, and in the process of us doing that, when we lose, I'm the one on the hook for that. So you guys aren't serious about us winning. So I'm gonna.
Is LeBron because the narrative changes over the years, right? I go back and I watch when Kobe was beating the Phoenix Suns and Kobe was winning. You know, when Kobe won those last 2 championships that he won, the way the media talked about him is far different than the way they talk about him now. So recency bias does have a lot to play in with the narrative, but I'm trying to remember, was LeBron taking a lot of the heat for the losses that Cleveland was taking? Like when they lost to Dwight Howard in 2009, when they lost to the Celtics in 2008, when they lost to the Pistons, I think in 2007, 2006, or whenever it was LeBron the one taking was the media's narrative? Oh, this is LeBron's fault, or was it LeBron doesn't have help? I don't remember, but I don't know. So
somewhere where they are serious and recognize that I do have some input in winning, but I also have to learn how to win too. And he did that when he was in.
And I agree, but I think Yeah, you're doing nothing.
Yeah, I know I'm being carried, bro. I'm a role player. You know, sometimes. What did you say the other day, Ox? Sometimes you gotta just know what your role is. You feel me? You know, right?
Somebody got to rebound and play
now.
defense.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
you
You ain't even rebounding. You just running the floor.
Yeah, that's it.
Focus, Mark. What
That's
you
what you
gotta
gotta
do?
do.
Yeah,
Even 20
So you doing what Bama did that day?
Whoa, like that.
Hey, and what I told
That was a
Ron,
great one.
you,
That was actually great.
As you were saying, Mark.
But yeah, I do agree that.
my hoop shoes right there. It ain't even got to be no more tall.
That's what I want to see. I want to see niggas hoop.
Wear size.
I want to see niggas hoop. Let's hoop.
They right there for you too.
More of an input in the say, but
As you were saying, Mark.
But yeah, I do agree that the Cleveland gave him more of an input in the say, but I'm saying we know the reason he went there is because a guy like Kyrie Irving was on the crew, and he made the call to see if Kevin Love would be down to join. That's why he went. If that's not the case, he's not going back to Cleveland. And the reason he left Miami is because we see Dwayne Wade declining, we see Chris Bosh was still playing at a high level, but he went out with blood clots ultimately. When Scottie Pippen was declining, especially in the second three-peat, Jordan could have left. They could have traded Scottie Pippen. They didn't. They stuck 10 toes, and he still got another three-peat. LeBron James leaves when he notices signs of stuff falling apart, and then we say it's not his fault that he loses, but every other player's gone through these ups and downs in their career, and they've stayed.
But I think it's unfair. I think that's not really fair to compare that, bro, because the times really changed. Like, we have to understand, bro, like, in the 80s and even the 90s, whatever team you were on. Even Charles Barkley going to the Suns, that wasn't really a super common thing. Bird stayed, Magic stayed, Hakeem stayed, Jordan stayed, Scotty stayed. Shaq did leave, but it was for money. It wasn't because, the Magic aren't good. You know, I think he actually went to a team that probably had less of a chance to win than the Magic. You know, especially not knowing what Kobe was going to do. But Shaq left for the money. He didn't leave, you know, so that whole thing was just, it was a different time. It was a different situation where in LeBron's situation, you have Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo all in the same team. Michael Jordan never had to experience niggas teaming up in that same way. So it's not really fair to have, if you have a totally different problem in a different era, right? It's like if we live in different countries, right, and the law is different. Right? In your country, weed is legal. So you open up a weed dispensary. You sell weed. You do, you have weed shops. You have weed farms. You do all different types of things with weed. You have cookies and shops and all this stuff. Where I live, weed is illegal. Or weed is not looked upon the same way. Or I sell pork. I sell ham. You live in the Middle East. Like, Technically, you might, I don't really know the rules, you might be able to technically sell pork and ham in the Middle East, but nobody eats it there. So you're expecting me to have the same solution that you have in a place and a time where it was completely different. Nobody was switching teams, bro. Bro, we have to understand. Hold on, we have to understand for a second, bro. Kevin Garnett was one of the best players in the league. KG was a top 10 player in the fucking league, bro. And he teamed up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. You team up with one of the top 5 scorers of the generation. Paul Pierce was a top 5 scorer of the 2000s. Paul Pierce was a top 5 scorer. You team up with him and Ray Allen, who was also one of the best scorers of the generation. Not just shooter, but scorer. And then you draft a point guard in Rajon Rondo, who was one of the highest IQs in the history of the game. It's not really fair to ask that. Even the Lakers traded for Pau Gasol. The Lakers traded for necessary pieces to make Kobe's team, comparable to win. Kobe's team was way better than any team LeBron had in Cleveland before he went back after going to Miami. Who was LeBron's second best player? Mo Williams versus Pau Gasol and Ron Artest. And I still think that Kobe was a better leader. I think Kobe, prepared his teams better, but that's not really the point. The point is that you're in two different eras and two different times. People act like if Michael Jordan was in this time, that Michael Jordan would just never leave. We don't know that. So
credit LeBron James for changing and winning in different situations. But that's because he's leaving when his ultimate situation becomes not as beneficial as it is.
Because 98 was not a fantastic team, like by any stretch.
I don't think so. I agree with that.
Rodman was nowhere near the same. Pippen was literally out for half the season, and we got in the playoffs. He wasn't the same.
And he's playing with a bad back.
Playing with a bad back. What's his name? Ron Harper is not the same player either. And Jordan could have left at post 96 because he just signed.
By Chill's admission, he thinks that Jazz team should have beat the Bulls.
And yeah, I've heard you say it as well.
I did.
So if that is
not like
the
it's the
case,
case.
But I wouldn't think that. Like, I would, honestly, like when it comes to like the finals, I wouldn't think that they would be a team like the Jazz. I mean, I wouldn't think the Jazz would beat them just because I'm definitely
Because they have Jordan.
Yeah, just because.
Exactly.
But it's the same. I look at LeBron. Though,
Yeah,
like,
but guess what?
No.
Times they beat him.
Yeah, he's been
With Jordan, it's actually applicable.
LeBron.
But so is Jordan though. Like,
No.
for
I'm
example,
talking about the finals. You just sat there and said when it comes to Jordan, you don't expect
You
him
didn't
to
think a
lose
team
the
like Jazz
finals.
going to beat him because
I
they
didn't. I didn't say the finals. I'm saying in general because I think Jordan is a better player.
Yeah.
Okay, so the same thing is applicable to LeBron. You shouldn't think that no one should beat LeBron.
But they do.
But they do though.
I'm saying I'm just not surprised.
All the
I'm
time.
saying I'm not
They beat
surprised.
him all the time.
All I was saying is I was surprised that
They
they
beat
beat
him
Jazz.
all the time, bro.
Well, they beat him more than he won. Sure, I can get with that.
All the
Hold on,
time.
but also let's also put into context that I think the one thing about the Jordan era too that people don't talk about enough is y'all act like Jordan wasn't getting beat either. There was other dominant teams during Jordan's era. Now, don't get me wrong, Jordan phenomenal player.
What's his
but
era?
sometimes
Yeah, what
What is his era? What do you consider his era?
Because you have to say the 80s because the 90s.
I'm gonna say from the 80s to the 90s, like when he came into the league to now.
Oh,
His
so
era
when he
playing
was a
basketball.
rookie,
So
I'm
if he was a rookie, that's his era.
talking about his career. Jordan's
Okay,
era
so
is like his
his
career.
career.
My bad, I shouldn't say era. His career. But all I'm saying is people were dominant and people were winning on Jordan's watch. That's a fact. And sometimes I think y'all get lost into that 6 years. The 6 rings. Nobody talks about Jordan's taking time off. He came, go back, go back. People have won in the 90s. The Rockets, they won 2. So I just feel like ultimately, yeah, but I'm just saying, people also dominated during Jordan's era. Jordan just didn't just clear house, but them 3-peats were a big deal. I'm not going to discredit that, but I think we act like the 2 3-peats was the totality of the career. And I just feel like when it comes to Michael Jordan, we don't talk about his hardships enough. Like we just don't. Like we act like his career started in the 90s.
Right now.
Let's talk about
We're
hardships.
talking about right now.
If we start bringing up Jordan's hardships and LeBron's hardships, it's going to go back.
But
Even if that's true, what I don't want to do is I don't want to get away from the point, and it's just about winning NBA championships because we already know who your GOAT is, and if we're just talking about winning NBA championships.
This is MJ. I'm going to get the real rest of the rest of the league. We can get.
So I don't want this to be relegated to just NBA championships. I mean, I want to talk about the player in LeBron James and how awesome he was and how much better he got over the course of his career, and the fact that this guy, we talk about him as a defensive player and making 6 all-league defensive teams in 5 straight.
That's it? Just 6?
Yeah, 6 of them.
That's it?
And
Only 6?
Yeah.
Jordan has 9 right now.
Jordan does have 9, so I'm glad you brought that up.
15
So
is best 20.
when you think of it, and when you think about how the whole league defensive team is, it's comprised. You know, it's about numbers, and it's not just about numbers. It's also about the level that you're playing. I mean, LeBron James, he had a 6-year, 6 times. I believe it was 5 times in 8 years, finishing the top 5 in defensive player of the year.
You said the same thing for Jordan, though, right?
I do.
Jordan actually won it.
He actually won it.
And I'm glad you brought that up because why isn't he winning it? I mean, LeBron James.
He's not as good defensively.
That's not true because we're talking about a guy.
Jordan beat out Hakeem.
So you're gonna act like LeBron for
Right,
after the league.
which doesn't
Yeah,
make any
it's
sense. I mean,
different.
and I don't think that there's any sense that you can make to that because just so you know, Marcus Gasol, the year that he won Defensive Player of the Year, do you know how many times he made the All-League Defensive Team before that? 0. You know how many times he made the All-League Defensive Team after that? 0. So there's no reason why he should even be in that conversation.
So it's a 1-year award.
And I'm glad you brought that 1 year up. So we also talking about a guy in LeBron James who in the 16-17 season finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year.
Do you think that was justified?
Hell yeah, I think it was justified.
In the what year?
2017, when it comes to like the 29th ranked.
In the 2016-17 season, he finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year. It's the only time in his career that he finished in the top 5 in the league in Defensive Player of the Year and did not.
That is crazy though. Like, I mean, I guess like defense is like it doesn't really matter what it does, especially if you're a center. But there's no way somebody should finish top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year award when your team is 29th in defense. Like, I don't care. I don't care what nobody say. I just disagree with that.
Add that to the fact that the next year, in the 2017 season, when he had more steals, more blocks than both Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, who were on the All-League defensive team, and that's the same year that James had the highest defensive rating in his career, yet he did not make the All-League defensive team.
Which year was 2017 or 2018?
2018.
It was in 2018. It was in 2018. It was in 2018. So we're talking about stuff like that. We're talking about stuff like that. That's like 8 or 9 more All-League defensive knowledge that we don't.
I'm gonna be honest. If you think LeBron was all defensive caliber in 2018, I don't know how much to say.
But even if, let's say hypothetically speaking, because I definitely don't think it still be less than Jordan. B.
That was just 2 years that I brought up. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But B, and more importantly, even if you want to just talk about the game himself, the biggest, and I'm be honest with you, even with me going back and rewatching a lot of LeBron was like way more like as a raw athlete than I like realized. Yes. Nowhere near the same jump shot that I thought he had, and especially before he went to Miami. Even when he went to Miami, low key that 2013 run. This is the perfect definition of like winning bias. If they lost 2013.
That was another bad finals.
That was a terrible finals for him because he couldn't make a shot. Anything outside, yeah, he couldn't. But you remember otherwise.
Game 7, he could make.
Game 7 saves everything. Up until game.
Let's go back and check the numbers. Talk. Ooh, hold on. Game 1, how much LeBron had? Wait a minute. LeBron had 18 points and 18 rebounds and 10 assists. 7 for 16, so the efficiency was pretty good. I mean, he shot bad from 3, but efficiency overall was good. And did they win the game? They lost. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't judge. I can't say this is a bad game. I can't say 18 and 10 is a bad game objectively. I just can't. I'd have to watch the game and honestly say, like, okay, I have to watch and see. All right, game 2, they won. LeBron had 17, 7, and 8. Lord. 1 for 3 from 3. 2 for 2 from the line. 40. So he hasn't shot over 50% yet in the game. He hasn't scored 20 points either. 17, 7, and 8. Yikes. I'm sure he'll have a big game, game 3, though. I'm sure of it. Damn. Hold on. Wait a minute. 77 points. 15 points? Bruh, cut it out. Bron, cut it out. 15 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. 33% from the field? Oh, fuck no. Now, Mario Chalmers is 0 for 5. UD's 0 for 2. And honestly, niggas do have to go back. But, you know, I've always been consistent of if you win, it's all for. If you win the series or you win the game, it's all forgiven. It's all forgiven if you win. So, I'm pretty consistent with that mindset, though. Is LeBron going to drop 20? Okay, 33 points, 15 of 25. So he had over 20 points finally, and he shot over 50% from the field, 1 for 2 from the 3. Damn, he wasn't really taking threes for real back. He was not taking threes like that. Okay. And they won the game. Okay, game 5. 25 points, 8 for 22, so 36% from the field, 2 for 4 from the 3. I mean, he wasn't efficient scoring the basketball, but he had 4 steals, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. I mean, okay, 3 turnovers. Again, there's nothing to really make of this because I didn't watch the game. I'm not a nigga that's going to judge the game off the box score, but, damn, so the Spurs was up 3-2 on their ass and just dropped the last 2 games. It's tough. I mean, once they lost game 6, like, they weren't going to win game 7. Tim Duncan had 30 on their stupid ass, cooking their ass. Hold on. 30 points? Tim Duncan was trying to go home. Hold on. LeBron had 32. Okay, LeBron showed up with points. He had 11. He had a 30-point triple-double. He had 6 turnovers. He shot under 50% from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 9 for 12 from the line. Again, don't really know what to make of this, but, we're just looking at the stats here. And in game 7, I think Tim Duncan had 24 points. Kawhi had 19. Tony Parker had 10. Manu had 18. Yeah, they needed a better game from Tony Parker. But I think LeBron was guarding Tony Parker, though. LeBron had 37. Yeah, 37 points, 5 for 10. Ooh, making all them threes. Yeah, you lost, buddy. You lost. How much they lost? By 8 or 7? That's tough. I mean, LeBron overall, based on the stats, didn't have a good statistical series. So, I don't know.
Game 7, he's shooting like 42% from the field, like 31% from the behind the arc. He's not making any free throws. He is genuinely struggling to be productive in that series. And even in the entire postseason run, he's also struggling. Even if you go through his peak from 2011 to 2015 to 2016, most of that postseason runs, he is struggling immensely to find his shot all throughout it while being on some of the most talented rosters in the NBA. And the biggest reason why they lost in 2011 is because of him. I know y'all didn't think I was going to get to that, but I'm here now.
Oh, we have to talk about that.
So in 2011, the reason why they lost is because of his inadequacies and his inabilities. Right. There's no rhyme or reason why somebody like J.J. Barea and Jason Kidd should be able to defend him.
I agree.
And I've rewatched that very recently, and genuinely, Jason Kidd is standing in front of LeBron James. That doesn't make any sense, but it's because he can't attack a zone. He can't shoot. He wasn't a good three-point shooter. Even he got to the free throw line. Couldn't even play out the post to take advantage of Jason Kidd. From a pure basketball standpoint, because you're right, we can remove the accolades.
We can talk about basketball.
If we talk about strictly,
Fuck the accolades. Let's talk about basketball. Fuck the trading and teams and, to a certain point. Let's just talk about basketball. Because to me, that's mostly what matters. Accolades is a small part, and impact is a well, not small, but it's also a like a third of the pie or like a fourth. But for me, who's better at basketball?
Basketball.
Because if we talking about accolades, like if accolades really mean as much as y'all say it do with the 6 3-peats, like if I cared about accolades as much as y'all claim to care about accolades, I would personally put nobody would surpass Bill Russell for me personally. He has 11 rings, he has 5 MVPs. Come on, if they had defensive players of the year, he'd be getting, he'd have like 11 of them. Like, let's be serious. Bill Russell would be my GOAT.
I don't think Jordan has such a deficiency to that extent that could cost his team series and runs or anything like that, the way that LeBron did in that run. And quite honestly, in a few other series, if the opposing team was just slightly better, if the Eastern Conference was slightly better, then it would have been different because it was very easy to pick apart LeBron's weaknesses, even at his best, even at his absolute best.
Yeah, but I'll also push back and say over time though, I think he worked on those deficiencies. Now, is he great 3-point shooter now? No, he's a better 3-point shooter than Jordan though.
Free throw shooter.
I said
No, but I'm asking you.
No, he's not a better free throw shooter.
No. Has he worked on free throw shooting?
I don't think he's he's not a better shooter than Jordan.
Has he worked on his free throw shooting?
I mean, he probably has, but he's not a good free throw shooter.
Okay.
He's not a good free throw shooter.
Okay, in his post game, his mid range shot. Hey, do you think he's really been sufficient enough in that?
I think over time he's gotten quality.
I think he's had some runs in Cleveland where his mid range was really deadly, but his mid range has never, as far as from what I see, his mid-range has never really been reliable, but his mid-range has never really been a go-to for me from what I've seen. So, like, if he's getting really 15 feet to the basket, like, he's probably getting to the rim.
Define quality.
I mean, quality just means it works. Like, I think he proved his game over time where you say he was a raw athlete, which I agree. I think when LeBron first came into the league, he was just more physically more gifted than everybody else. I won't even deny that. It's almost like Zion-esque. But I do think over time, because of 2011 and things of that nature, I think LeBron knew that I have to expand my game. There's things I have to be able to do in order to win. Like, I think when they played Boston...
So let me ask this then, because y'all keep bringing up that he improved his game. Does LeBron get more credit for being insufficient in areas and improving in which Michael Jordan was never inefficient in those areas? I mean, maybe the first 2-3 years of Michael Jordan's career, he wasn't a great mid-range shooter. But like for the he wasn't 7-8 years down the line, just very inefficient, or not very inefficient, but very lackluster in a specific significant category. There's no category where Michael Jordan was just lackluster in an area. Like second year, okay, cool. He maybe wasn't the best mid-range shooter, or he wasn't maybe the most efficient or whatever, but 3 years plus down the line, he was spectacular at everything that you want a shooting guard to be. He was an elite, top 1 defensively, top 1 scoring, top 1 mid-range, top 1 finishing around the basket. He is the protocol post game, working off the ball, jump shot, pure. And so does LeBron get more credit for lacking in those areas for longer and then improving later, where Jordan never had those inefficiencies to begin with? I don't know.
At Game 6 at Boston, I think that was one of the moments where LeBron, you could see the work that he's put in to get to that point. He was his mid-range, his post moves. You could tell that most players, when they have a meltdown like that, they don't always bounce back. Right. That could have been LeBron's absolute fallout for sure. And he came back. And I think in some ways, being able to come back from adversity also makes you great.
You know, in the next series he shot 18% from 3, right?
But that's my point. Like I think
I didn't say it was a good 3-point shooter.
No, I'm just saying it's inconsistency.
But
he can get hot.
That's the point.
I'm glad you brought up inconsistencies, because you brought up a really good point about what LeBron James did. You brought up a really good point about what LeBron James did in the NBA Finals and how in Game 7 and how his game declined. Well, I can rewind the clock back to before Jordan became Air Jordan. When he had hair and they called him Air Jordan. When he was averaging 35 a game against the Detroit Pistons, and that 35 in Game 4, 5, and 6 when they were up in the series against the Detroit Pistons,
instance, went down from 35 a game to 22 a game. He wasn't blamed for that series, however. Even though if LeBron James had done something like that, LeBron James, they would have said that he choked. And then I can fast forward to the 1992, 1993 Michael Jordan, who I thought that was the best version of it. So we got the Eastern Conference Championship going on, Mars. When I say we got the Eastern Conference Championship, the Knicks are picked to win this. And Jordan starts the series. He is egregious. He is not giving them anything. It takes a gallant effort from Scottie Pippen in Game 3 of 29 points. Otherwise, they go down 3-0 in that series. And that series is looking really different. And then, that was the game. I believe he had a triple-double.
This is the game where Chill claims he did nothing but had a triple-double, but then will claim that LeBron
in that game 7 against Detroit when he had like 14.
Exactly. That's what this game is.
This is that
I
game.
didn't peek to your style, man.
This is that
I
game.
studied your style.
But who do we know Jordan to be? We know Jordan to be an all-around great player.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Did you impact the game or not? It doesn't matter. Game 7, Kobe Bryant, 2010 against the Celtics. His shot was off, but he got 15-something rebounds. Did you impact winning or not? Niggas make basketball so complicated. Did you impact winning or not? I don't care about nothing you're talking about. Can he shoot? Doesn't matter. Did you do what was necessary to impact winning? If Jordan didn't score like we expect him to, but he impacted winning, then he impacted winning. If LeBron had 14 points, LeBron had 18 points and 18 rebounds and 10 assists. I didn't watch that game, so I don't know. But if he impacted winning, if the shot was off, but he was like, you know what? My shot is off. I'm going to make sure I dominate the glass. And he dominated the glass and they won. Then he won. He impacted winning.
But he's also playing with another all-around great player who compounded what he did in terms of his scoring, in terms of his rebounding, in terms of his playmaking. He compounded that. So what Jordan didn't do, he actually did. James, on the other hand, he didn't have that opportunity early. He did not have that opportunity early. And then I can look to other instances. I mean, I watched Jordan in 1997 against the Miami Heat go 9 for 35 in a game. I mean, if we got LeBron James going 9 for 35,
all-time great defense, Miami Heat.
All-time great defense, right? Absolutely. And just the same as the Detroit Pistons all-time great defense.
Wait, who? Wait,
Wait, it's over.
who was the all-time great?
Hey, wait,
Not 06, not 06.
everybody gets 1 minute to make their closing point.
Who starts?
J-Rock.
Shout out to my glorious king. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I've never seen a guy. I was a Jordan guy since a kid. I went from Dr. J to Michael Jordan. LeBron James was in year 10 in 2013, and he had 4 league MVPs. He had won the NBA championship 2 years in a row, and I wasn't even interested in having a conversation at that point. It wasn't until 2015, 2016 that I started really paying attention to this guy to make sense of, yo, man, is this guy as good as I think he is? Turns out he was. I've never seen a guy come into the game with that amount of hype, that amount of fanfare, that amount of pressure, and deliver, and continuously deliver without folding and just...
So I think a lot for him is the narrative, right? And like I've said it in previous videos that I've talked about GOAT debate, it's really about narrative. Like, it's really about a story, right? You're saying LeBron is the GOAT because he lived up to the hype. And I can concede that, you know, that may be relevant to some extent. I can maybe agree to that. But you're not really... It doesn't sound like you believe that LeBron's better at basketball. You're saying that because LeBron lived up to the narrative, does that, like, to what extent, like, you're saying LeBron improved his game, like, okay, like, I mean, I guess those are relevant, but how relevant are those things really? Like, when I say LeBron, like, Jordan's a better finisher, a better mid-range shooter, a better free throw shooter, a better jump shooter, all-around jump shooter. LeBron may be a better three-point shooter, which I wouldn't really agree with. I think that LeBron gets the volume up more. And so, you know, but even if you wanted to say LeBron's a marginally better three-point shooter, Michael Jordan's a better shooter all around because his mid-range is far superior. Michael Jordan is more efficient in the post. Michael Jordan is a better on-ball defender. I think LeBron's argument is longevity, and I think that's pretty, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much it. And I think that that's good enough to make a good enough claim, considering how he has 10 out of 10 longevity. And I think it's good enough to make the claim ahead of Jordan, but I think that's all he really has, if I'm being honest. You know, and it's relevant enough for it to be a legitimate argument. But other than that, I don't think he has much of it. Like, okay, you could say LeBron's a better rebounder. You can say LeBron's a better passer and playmaker. But overall, I think that Michael Jordan has a bigger impact on winning, point blank. When it comes down to leadership, intangibles, leadership, mental toughness. Now, LeBron James is one of the smartest basketball players ever, so he has IQ. But leadership, mental toughness, clutch gene, jump shooting, like all of these tangible and intangible things. Overall, I believe Michael Jordan has more impact on winning games, and therefore I think that he's better. But LeBron, Michael Jordan has, he has 15 great years, while LeBron has 21. I mean, that's enough. That's enough to make a legitimate argument.
Completely given up. I've never seen that. And it took me a long time to come to this conclusion, but he's the best that I've ever seen.
Without folding is kind of crazy because, he folded. But, look, I think LeBron is an amazing player, genuinely. But going back and rewatching a lot of, even peak LeBron, the deficiencies are, almost alarmingly bad. Now, to be fair to LeBron, he's a highly IQ player, intelligent, so he finds ways around, especially with his passing and playmaking. But when I watch Jordan, he's just, leaps and bounds better than, everybody else on the court when he's playing. And I don't think, as great as LeBron is, I don't think that there's times where I don't think he's leaps and bounds better than everyone else. And even as time progressed, when Scottie Pippen got older, Dennis Rodman got older, they weren't the same players as they once were before, and they're still winning. He's still pushing them to 60-plus wins, even without Scottie Pippen. I think that, to me, is what really swung me back into Jordan and made it even more concrete that I do think Jordan is the greatest of all time.
I think it goes to the fact that not only did LeBron have many deficiencies that teams could counter, Michael Jordan was so much of a great all-around player, but we focus so much on the scoring aspect that we ignore the fact that he was the best playmaker on his team. He probably was one of the best decision makers in the league. He was one of the premier defenders. He did everything so well, but his scoring was so transcendent that we seem to ignore everything else he did at such a high level.
Michael Jordan was not the passer and playmaker that LeBron was. He didn't have the passing accuracy. He was nowhere near the passer that LeBron James was, in my opinion. But he was a great passer. LeBron is top 2 passer all time. At worst, top 5. At worst. Michael Jordan is still a great passer though. So, that does need to be said.
For me, the biggest issue I've always had with LeBron is how everything has to be catered to him. He is the system. You have to put a whole team around him and his strengths and avoid his weaknesses. Get him the spacing. Get him defenders around him. Whereas Michael Jordan has shown time and time again, no matter the system, no matter the situation, he's going to perform. He's going to play without the ball. He's going to play with the ball. He's going to play defense. He's going to run the floor. He's going to play in transition. He's going to play in the half court. He can do so many things for you that you're not stuck in a box of how your team needs to play. And I think that's what elevates Michael Jordan to be the best player that I've ever gone back and watched.
That's actually a really good point though, because LeBron's teams are they have to play a certain way. You need shooters. There's certain things that you can't really play the way that the Warriors play with a LeBron team. You can't play the way that the Nuggets play with a LeBron team, at least from what I've seen. You need LeBron to have a clear out. You need very specific things. You can't rely on LeBron to be a good jump shooter. With Jordan, you could have some guys that bang down low. You could have a Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright clog the paint a little bit because he's a very capable jump shooter. He's a very capable mid-range shooter. And sure, defensive rules were different at the time, but I would say that still stands. And so Michael Jordan does give you a little bit more fluidity because he can play off the ball and he can play on the ball. If you have a great point guard, Michael Jordan can get 10 easy points a game just off of, action coming off pin downs. He's a great shooter coming off pin downs. He's a very good catch and shooter. He's a very great cutter. He's a great post player. He's great playing off the ball. I've never really seen LeBron play great off the ball. The best that I've ever seen him play off the ball was in Cleveland, playing with Kyrie. Kyrie drew a lot of attention. He was able to get be a really good cutter, but he was never really a great shooter. And so I think that Michael Jordan does give you a little bit more flexibility for what you can put around your team.
He's going to play in the half court. He can do so many things for you that you're not stuck in a box of how your team needs to play. And I think that's what elevates Michael Jordan to be the best player that I've ever gone back and watched. And I think he's the best player to ever play. And I think that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
We're each going to react to everything, and we're each going to give our take on what happened.
I gotta say, that was a heck of a debate. I was waiting for the closing argument to really decide, because it was so close throughout the whole time. And He went out there and 1-2 versus 1, so I got to give it to him. He was playing by himself.
No way.
Let me see it. Let me grab the ball real quick. Not gonna hold you. When you go through a whole elaboration about Game 6, Boston Celtics, and then Mars says, you know he shot 18% right after that series, right? Bro, Showtime was going through it alone, brother. He was going through the argument, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all two should be embarrassed because Showtime was cooking y'all, bro. I'm not even gonna hold y'all.
Oh, wow.
That losing. That lost to one.
All right. So I don't want to be a follower, but I have to admit, J-Rob. We even had this conversation last night. You were pulling through, but then you lost a little steam. Chill did, in fact, pull the bay for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is really a roast for me. And I feel like I ain't even sitting on that crazy. Like, I think this might be a little bit of,
And I do want to shout out.
Don't be emotional. It's all right. Go ahead.
No,
I just think Chill's argument is just that great.
I have nothing more
Kind
to
of
say.
diminish my
That's a
greatness.
wrap.
This is going to sound a little nuts, but the fastest way to potentially make semi-passive income from Airbnb.
Has he semi?
I ain't gonna diminish your greatness, but that how you introduce LeBron, stop that.
The Glorious King thing?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, that probably does do me a disservice to
But-
start that debate, but
I'm sorry, man. Low tried to fight back, but man, put y'all in that old school headlock and wouldn't let y'all do
that was my
Yeah.
yeah.
I gotta go chill. He was cooking.
Ain't even zero.
Chill.
Hey, what did Jeff Teague say?
Because can
I'm
I
not
say
gonna lie,
something?
Lo. You was rebuttaling heavy.
You don't have to put.
Oh, my bad. You right. Oh, you gotta respect the pill,
So-
bro. You gotta respect the pill.
So I do want to say, Lo, there was a moment there where you started regain some traction. But you know what Jay did? He kept his voice low, and everybody went silent and listened in, and he commanded respect in that moment. But Lo, you were right there too. Mars, you're just a stat guy, so I lost it. But,
Word.
Yeah.
Can I touch that pill right quick? I'm looking up the Cavs 2007 roster right here on this phone. We clearly know who LeBron James is. I'm trying to figure out if you're Larry Hughes, if you're Zajunas.
No, I'm like the 15th guy on the bench. That's what I want to be.
Not even that bad.
Eric Snow. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think I'm that bad either, but I do think these two and Dub, they got this idea that like I don't watch NBA games, but I don't agree with how they talk about ball.
You don't. But you don't.
I do watch NBA games, though. I just don't agree with what you say.
I just think Chill was carrying. That's what I'm looking at.
He was. I thought he did phenomenal, but look, stop saying that. You don't know.
No, you watch Lakers.
Yo,
I watch everybody.
all in all, I want to say,
Just
what Chilltown just did,
it was like you watch more YouTube videos than me.
it was like
I
LeBron
watch
wins 2007.
real NBA games just as much as you.
Yes.
LeBron just beat the Spurs. I don't know if you kind of look like Tony Parker, so we'll go Tony Parker, and obviously you're Tim Duncan.
Boris Diaw.
But Chill, what you just did is
You do Boris Diaw.
you just beat them in Game 7.
All right, y'all niggas is glazing. What do the comments say? There's no logical or statistical argument for LBJ over LeBron. That's literally false. That's literally false. Like, literally false. Honestly, this ain't a debate, man. Jordan is head and shoulders above everyone we've ever seen. I kind of agree with that. Like I said, I only think that if your argument is going to be the longevity argument, which I think is valid, you know, because being able to play at a great level for this long, I feel like is respectable. But, you know, when they were both in their prime, like within a 10-year span, like if you took Jordan from, you know, 87 to 97, you know, I guess minus those 2 years, and you took LeBron's best 10-year gap, I think Michael Jordan is just unarguably better in my opinion, bro. LeBron was on the path to being the GOAT, but once he quit on Cleveland, then they had the best regular season record 2 seasons straight. It was over. He ditched the path to become a GOAT and manufacture teams. Okay, plus Jordan. Overall comp were plumbers. Here we go with niggas talking bullshit. Niggas don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Jordan was losing to Bird and Zeke and Magic. That's crazy. That you're saying that you're talking experts when 3 of them clearly have never been kind of decent at the game. Whoa! Man, low-key facts. Experts is a big word for y'all. You know the biggest thing I hate about this debate is how Kobe gets skipped over. I kind of agree with that, man. I kind of agree with that, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I kind of agree with that, bro. If we're being honest, bro. Like, I kind of agree with it, but like, I don't know. Oh, is this dead? That's alright. But I kind of agree with it. I think it's interesting because all the things that MJ's better than LeBron at, Kobe's better than LeBron at as well. Except Kobe's better than both of them at shooting threes, in my opinion. Now, because LeBron has a better three-point percentage, you might think, oh, LeBron's a better three-point shooter, when he's clearly not. Nobody went under screens on Kobe. Nobody left Kobe open, right? It's a situation where Kobe's just taking poor quality shots, right? But Kobe is objectively a better three-point shooter. He made fucking 12 threes in the game. Kobe's a fucking sniper. He's a better three-point shooter. He has a better post game. He has a better mid-range game. He's a better leader. He's, more mentally tough. I prefer his intangibles better, and I think that his basketball IQ is far more comparable to LeBron than Jordan's is. I think that Kobe was more skilled than MJ was. I think he was more skilled, significantly more skilled than LeBron was. I think that Kobe wasn't the defensive player that Jordan was, and I think that's kind of where he loses some of the traction. Kobe wasn't the finisher he was not the finisher around the rim that MJ was. He was not the athlete that MJ was. But I think he was better than both of them at free throw shooting. He was better than both of them at 3-point shooting. So, he has one less championship. He doesn't, and I think the thing with Kobe is that he doesn't have the accolades. He doesn't have if Kobe had 4 MVPs, which he could have easily had, or at least 3, if he had like 3, 4 MVPs, I think that he could easily be in this argument. And I think that losing a championship with Shaquille O'Neal hurts him. I think had he won that, if he had beat Detroit with Shaq, like if he never lost with Shaq, I think that he'd be up there. Like when they lost to the Spurs in 2003, and then they lost to the Pistons in 2004. Had they closed both of those rings out, and he would have two-peated, he would have been sitting at another 2 rings. He'd been at 7 rings. It would have been very tough for anybody to say anything about Kobe Bryant that I didn't like without a rude awakening. So I think Kobe was very close. I think Kobe kind of let his pride get in the way. Interestingly enough, I think that because Shaq wasn't a hard worker, it created friction in the continuity. Oh, did I stop? I think it created friction in the continuity of the team, and Kobe was like, "I'll pass you the ball when you work." It's like, nigga, if you don't give Shaq the ball so we can fucking win these championships, what the fuck are you talking about? I give you the ball when you work. How dare you? Who are you? Like, nigga, I'm multiple finals MVPs and multiple MVPs. You gonna give me the ball when I work? Shaq should have really whipped this little scrawny ass for real. Fuck is he talking about? I give you the ball when you work, nigga. You better give me the ball. And in the last 2 minutes, you do what you do so we can win championships. Fuck is wrong with you? You mad because I'm not working how you working, nigga? I'm getting results. Fuck the work. I'm getting results. You do what you do to get results, and I do what I do to get results. I think that's kind of a blemish on Kobe's part. It's just like, nigga, if you don't dump the ball down to Shaq, bro, talking about I give you the ball when you work. Nigga, if you don't get off my nuts, nigga, I'm doing what I gotta do, nigga. Shaq should have really whipped his scrawny ass for real. Like, he really should have whooped his ass, bro. Like, you're not gonna give me the ball? Yeah, you bugging the fuck out. Somebody done told you wrong. Crazy.